Hello, students. Good morning. Today, let me start with the theories of taxation. This chapter is especially for third BA economics students. Okay. Last class, we have seen the objectives of taxation, types of taxation, and canons of taxation. Today, let me start with theories. This theories of taxation is more important one. Without this chapter, there will not be a question paper in the university exam. Okay. Here we can say that a number of theories have been put forward with regard to the distribution of the burden of taxation among the people. Actually, theories of taxation gives us a view that how the tax burden is distributed, how a tax should be. That is focused by the theories of taxation. There are many theories given by the economist. The oldest theory is the physiocratic theory. The physiocrats believed that agriculture alone yields a net surplus. Therefore, they advocated a single tax on land, but this theory has been subject to several objections because when the physiocrats were given their idea, agriculture was the only sector which yields income, so they advised to levy taxes on agriculture. Okay. But this advice or this suggestion may not be suitable to the present day economy. They advocated a single tax on land. Okay. This theory has been subject to several objections. It is wrong to believe that agriculture alone yields a surplus. In the modern industrial age, industries also yields a net return. These are all the opinions given by the criticizers, analytical thinkers. They have opposed this physiocratic theory. They said that physiocratic theories will be suitable only for olden days, not for modern India or modern economy. A single tax on land will not bring adequate revenue to the state to meet the increasing expenditure of the government. We know that nowadays the government is a welfare government. Its responsibilities are more. It looks after many of the expenses of the state. So for to meet up the increased expenditure of the government, this theocratic theories views will not be suitable for the present day economy. It will not give adequate or sufficient revenue to the state. The third critical point is, if tax is imposed on land alone, it will lead to unjust distribution of a tax burden. Only landlords will be subject to tax, but industrial magnates do not pay tax. You see, nowadays, these agricultural farmers or landlords are not getting much yield because those things depends upon the nature. We cannot give much burden to those people by levying more tax on them. So due to these criticisms, this physiocratic theory was not was advocated was it will not be suitable to the present day economy. Next, we'll go to the financial theory. This theory is associated with Colbert. He says, "Pluck the goose with as little squealing as possible." In this theory, too much importance is given to the obtaining maximum revenue. How to get maximum? At the most, how to get maximum revenue? It is the idea given by Professor Colbert. No importance has been given to the distribution of the burden of taxation among the people. That is how to distribute the burden. Actually, we used to say rich people must be given, must be taxed more, and poor people must be taxed less. But Professor Colbert, he did not say anything about that. He said that plug the goose with as little squealing as possible. If this theory is put into practice, there will be injustice. The burden of taxes will fall mainly on the weak and voiceless. Rich and influential persons was escape from taxation. Therefore, the financial theory is rejected today. The next one is the principle of equity. This is somewhat acceptable one. Equity principle. The problem of equity or justice is of great importance in public economics. Therefore, great attention should be paid to the principle of equity taxation. Equity means fairness or justice in the distribution of burden of taxation. Okay, there are two aspects in the principle of equity: horizontal equity and vertical equity. Horizontal equity implies that similarly situated persons will be taxed equally. Vertical equity refers to a situation in which people in dissimilar circumstances will be subjected to dissimilar treatment. Okay, in simple words, we can say horizontal equity is equal should be treated equally, vertical means unequal should be treated unequally. So the principle of equity is to some extent an acceptable one. This equity principle is followed even now by the modern economist. Okay, the next one is the cost of service theory. According to this theory, the cost of services rendered by the government to the taxpayers should be the basis for taxation. Each taxpayer should pay tax equal to the cost of service. Okay, here we can say the government is doing lot of services to the people. For that, government will incur some cost. So the tax must be equal to the cost of services. So it is like a price that is explained in the next paragraph. If cost is higher, tax will also be higher. The government is like a producer. Okay, here it charges a price for the services rendered on the basis of the cost incurred in rendering the services. That is, if the government renders a service, suppose if the government forms a street road, for that expenses government will levy tax on the people living in that area. Okay, so this is like a price. Here government is like a producer. Actually, what is the meaning of the term tax? Tax is paid by a person on whom it is levied without expecting any return from the government. The person on who pays the tax to the government, he should not expect any return from the government. But here this cost of theory says that the person for a person, if government spends some amount for a person or for a street or for a area, those area people, they have to pay tax to the government. So here the tax is like a price, we can say. In short, taxes should be like a prices paid by the services rendered to each person by the government according to the cost incurred. If a person does not utilize the services of the government, he should not be taxed. Okay, this is the logic involved, but this principle is not accepted because here tax is like a price. The tax definition is violated here. Okay, the next one is the benefit principle. So the benefit principle was accepted by political theoreticians of the 17th century. According to this theory, the people should pay taxes in proportion to the benefits received by them from the state or from the government service. Suppose if government does a service, suppose if government construct a public school or government hospitals or primary health centers or some other rural health centers, the area, the people who lives in that area will get the benefit. Okay, so based on the benefit received by the society or by the people, the tax should be levied. So here we can say the people should pay taxes in proportion to the benefits received by them from the state. People receiving equal benefits should pay equal taxes. Okay, people who receive more benefits should pay more taxes than those who get less benefits. But here the problem is how to measure the profit. How to measure the profit from your road construction. Some people, the person who is having a car or two wheeler or four wheelers, they will be getting more benefit than a than some other persons. Okay, the person who goes by walk, he is not that much. He will not get that much benefit with the new road. So here we can say it is very difficult to measure the benefits of an individual person. This theory was supported by Grotius, Buffon, Hobbes, the physiocrats, Locke, Hume, and Rousseau. This theory is modified version of the cost of service theory. Yeah, we can say there is the economist said the tax should be levied based on the cost of services rendered by the government. Here, the economist says that the taxes should be levied based on the benefit received by the people from the government services. Okay, this theory is also not that much popular. So the above said theories are not that much popular. The later ability to pay theory was introduced by Professor Adam Smith. This theory is J.S. Mill. This theory is more popular, and till date this theory is accepted by many of the economists. Okay, ability to pay is nothing but purchasing power, we can say. Okay, the just and equitable theory of distribution is the ability to pay theory. Ability to pay principle states that those who possess income or wealth should contribute to the state in proportion to his ability to pay. Okay, based on in proportion to his ability to pay, he has to pay taxes to the government. Okay, according to Professor J.S. Mill, equality in taxation means equality to sacrifice. It implies that all people should incur equal sacrifice. Only then taxation becomes just and equitable. Okay, this is the main essence of this ability to pay. To justify this ability to pay principle, there are some three grounds were given by the economist. So it is here given as justification of ability to pay principle. The ability to pay principle has been justified on three grounds. Number one, ability to pay theory has been justified on the basis of equality sacrifice. Each taxpayer is expected to pay equal amount. Okay, this is the first ground. The second one, ability to pay theory is also justified on the basis of the law of diminishing marginal utility. As income increases, the utility from income diminishes. Therefore, rich persons should be taxed at a higher level than poor. This is the most important point here. As income increases, utility from income diminishes. Therefore, rich persons should be taxed at a higher level than poor. But sometimes they will say this income increase, this law of diminishing marginal utility for income it is a psychological concept. Some economists used to argue like that also, but I will see, but this is the general ground for this ability to pay principle. The next one is ability to pay theory is based upon faulty interpretation. It refers the capacity of the individuals to produce and consume. It is represented the income, the property, and wealth of the individual. So we should not take the income alone as a measure of ability to pay. We can include the property and the wealth of an individual to measure one's ability to pay. So here we can say the index of ability to pay or indices of ability to pay. Here we have given four points. First one is property, second one income, then size of the family and consumption. So based on these four points or four things, one's ability to pay can be easily measured. The person who has more property, the person who has more income, if the size of the family is small, if a person spends more, we can say that person is having high ability to pay. Okay, this is how the ability to pay of a person can be measured. In order to measure the ability to pay, two different approaches have been developed by the economists. The first one is subjective approach. The second one is objective approach. Okay, let us start with the first approach, subjective approach to ability to pay. Subjective approach is based upon the psychological reaction of the taxpayers towards that tax. Okay, this is also called as sacrifice approach or sacrifice theory. Each taxpayer should make equal sacrifice if tax burden is to equally distributed. So this subjective approach or psychological theory or sacrifice theory talks about the psychological attitude of the person towards the taxation. Here the concept sacrifice is given important in this theory, that concept sacrifice is given important. It implies that similarly situated person should be treated similarly, so the horizontal equity can be achieved. On the other hand, people with a dissimilar situation should be treated dissimilarly, achieve vertical equity. The term equal sacrifice has been interpreted three ways: equal absolute sacrifice, equal proportional sacrifice, and equal marginal sacrifice. These three concepts are more important in this subjective approach or psychological theory. First one is equal absolute sacrifice, second one equal proportional sacrifice, and third one equal marginal sacrifice. First one is equal absolute sacrifice. According to this principle, loss of utility should be equal to all the taxpayers. It means the rich should pay lesser taxes than the poor. Okay, rich should pay lesser taxes than the poor, but it leads to regressive taxation. Okay, and hence it has been opposed by many economists, because this is not based on ability to pay principle indirectly. So many economists oppose to this principle because it is regressive in nature. Next one is equal proportional sacrifice. Here, the principle of equal proportional sacrifice implies that the utility should be proportional to the total income of the taxpayers. We have to be very clear here. The utility should be proportional to the total income of the taxpayers. Higher income group should be taxed at a higher level than the lower income group, but the ratio of sacrifice to the income should be the same for all. The ratio of sacrifice to the income should be same for all. It can be expressed in mathematical terms as rate of tax. This principle leads to progressive taxation as marginal utility diminishes with the rise in income. Okay, this is somewhat acceptable one. The next one is equal marginal sacrifice. It also known as least aggregate sacrifice principle. According to this principle, total sacrifice made by all the taxpayers should be the lowest. The principle leads to progressive taxation. Okay, so these are the three sacrifice approaches of this subjective approach. Some of the limitations of this subjective approach is given here. You see, the subjective approach is objected on the following grounds. Number one, similarly situated persons may not involve same sacrifice. Okay, even if they pay the same amount of taxes, temperaments and attitude to pay tax will differ. Okay, it is we cannot easily calculate and measure the attitude of a person who pays a tax. Okay, then sacrifice is subjective and therefore it cannot be measured and equated. This is the second point. Then it is third one. It is possible to measure the rate of decrease in marginal utility with increase in income. It is possible to measure the, it is like a question, is it possible to measure the rate of decrease in marginal utility with increase in income? It is also in a psychological concept. Okay, if a person's income increases, the marginal utility goes down is not, we cannot say it will differ, it differs from person to person. So it is very difficult to measure. Is it possible to measure? So it is like a question. The next one, utility depends on the income earned by the individual, then the utility from inherited wealth and property. Yes, okay. The hard earned income, if a hard earned income is taxed more, then psychologically the taxpayer will be affected. These facts have not been given importance in the subjective approach. Subjective approach is not true. Professor Musgrave observes it remains to be seen whether a workable and reasonable meaningful measure of utility can be developed in time. Thus, it is possible to base a good tax structure on it. Okay, so based on these grounds, the subjective approach was criticized by the economists. Next approach is the objective approach to ability to pay. This is most important and popular approach. Due to the limitations of subjective approach, American economists have developed an alternative approach known as faculty theory of ability to faculty theory of ability to pay. This approach has suggested three main criteria to measure ability to pay, that is income, property, and consumption. So based on these three criteria, one's ability to pay can be easily measured. Okay, number one, income. Income is considered to be the best index of ability to pay. Income from all sources in a given period should be calculated. Only net income should be taken into account along with sources of income, nature of income, and size of the family, because we have to consider size of the family also, because size of the family plays a major role in determining one's ability to pay. Okay, the next one is property. The amount of inherited wealth, accumulated property is also considered to be an important measure of ability to pay. However, it is also a defective measure because all properties may not yield income. Some people may have property, but that property will not yield income, but they have to pay property tax. Okay, so they will, it will be a much burden to the person who pays property tax. Okay, so it is, so there are it is like a defective measure we can say, but once ability to pay can be measured with the help of this index also, property. Next one is consumption, because anyway it will give income in future. Okay, next one is consumption. Professor Calder has advocated consumption expenditure to be the basis of ability to pay. Consumption expenditure is the true index of taxable capacity of an individual. Calder always for of this expenditure tax or consumption like that, because a person who spends more, definitely he will be a rich person, and he'll that is why he is consuming more. This is the main argument of Professor Calder. Okay, so based on these three indices or three index, one's ability to pay can be easily measured along with the size of the family of that particular taxpayer. Okay, the limitations to subjective approach. A tax on property is regressive because it falls heavily on small property holder. Okay, next one. This is also lack of uniformity in the assessment of tax. Assessment of tax is, there is no that much uniform rules and regulations in assessing the tax of a taxpayer. People may conceal their income and property in order to escape tax burden. There are many ways to evade the taxes. So these are some of the limitations of objective approach. Therefore, objective approach plays a supplementary role to subjective in achieving equity in the distribution of the tax burden. Though these two approaches have some limitations, but these two approaches places plays a supplementary role to each other. Okay, in equity in the distribution of that tax burden. So with this, we are finishing this theories of taxation. Next class we'll go to the other next that is impact, incidents, and shifting of a tax burden. Okay, thank you.